A local woman is celebrating a major win over Big Pharma. Drug company Bayer says it will stop selling the permanent birth control implant Essure by the end of 2018. Thousands of women, including one from Yorktown, experienced severe pain and other side effects from the product. 13 News Now reporter Robert Boyd talked to her about today's announcement.
Well, Regina, Christy Gerganis has been through some dark days over the past 6 years. She said today is quite a relief because now she knows no other woman will have to suffer like she did. In July 2011, Christy Gerganis put her trust in Essure, a permanent birth control implant sold by Bayer. By the beginning of 2012, she was living with constant abdominal pain.
It feels like a very sharp, sudden stabbing pain.
But Christy struggled to find a doctor who could make a proper diagnosis.
I went to 12 different doctors looking for answers, looking for someone who would help me.
Then she started reading online that thousands of other women who also had the Essure implant were having the same ailments. But Bayer denied that the product had any harmful side effects.
So I'm not surprised by it, but I'm disappointed that they can't take some ownership over the issues that women are having from the device.
In 2013, Christy had the device removed.
And then I had to have 3 surgeries, including a hysterectomy, which, affects you the rest of your life.
This past April, the FDA concluded that close to 30,000 women with the implant have had adverse effects. They required Bayer to limit sales only to doctors' offices that agreed to fully inform women about the product's risks.
We've been advocating for several years, rallying, making trips to D.C. to talk to congressmen, begging and pleading for anyone to, at least hear us.
Then on Friday came the ultimate victory for Christy. Bayer announced they would discontinue the sale of Essure by the end of the year, releasing this statement. This decision is based on a decline in U.S. sales of Essure in recent years and the conclusion that the Essure business is no longer sustainable. We continue to stand by the product's safety and efficacy.
We don't care about the reasoning. We care the fact that it is off the market and that not one more woman will be harmed from the potential side effects of the device.
Now, Christy, along with thousands of other women across the country, are now in the process of suing Bayer over Essure. Christy's lawsuit has yet to be settled in court. Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.